build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. Hello everybody, welcome to Longbangers. I'm Matty, got John and Colin with me tonight. John, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. I just suddenly got game face on as we hit record after having a wee laugh pre-recording.
We literally were sitting saying, oh fucking hell, do I have to let's get through this as quickly as possible. Let's do the bare minimum. So you're in for a treat tonight.
Motivational chat.
It's like if we were all in the same room, we would have had the hands in the middle way, like boom.
1, 2, 3, average.
Hibees. Fuck it. Colin, how you doing?
Aye, good. Just look forward to this over and done with.
Okay, we've got 2 episodes to record as well. So we're going to be talking about Hibs 1, Killie-ing 0. We'll cover the game, we'll cover all the kind of key talking points, and then we'll have a wee look ahead to Dundee United next week, I think it is, away at Tannadice. If I can remember that by myself without having to look it up. Go fucking me. Right, so I suppose before we get started, because I think having seen some of the talking points, there was a few contentious ones in there, and as always, it's probably worth just sort of a wee reminder to say that we didn't present ourselves as experts or the right or wrong fucking answer.
Quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite, right? So we genuinely don't really know that much about what we're talking about. If we disagree with you, it's all right. Like, you're all right to have your opinion, we're all right to disagree with it. We're no angry at you or saying you're wrong, we just didn't agree with you. Don't take it personally, and we might get on our fucking soapbox about a few things as well. It's just because we're fucking idiots. I'm an idiot. I'll only speak for John and Colin because you're on the idiots. So don't be offended if we didn't agree with your point. It's all right to disagree. Anyway, right. With that, John, I'll start with you. How was your day on Saturday then?
Saturday was excellent. I got the unexpected surprise that my adopted dad, who's younger than me, had managed to grab himself a ticket for the game and for the Albion. So we went in there pre-match, managed to nail about half a dozen pints before the game, which I haven't done for about 10, 15 years. I got to meet TG Willis and then Ron Burgundy off Twitter. I don't know if he would be comfortable with me sharing his real name. Came over, introduced himself, and I was standing having a chat with Leon and Raymond and McBee that have all been on like various Longbangers outputs. So we had a bit of blather, and he came up and sat and watched the game with me. So we had a bit of blather throughout the game, and then Hibs got 3 points, so come away delighted.
What do you think of the game?
Question before you talk about the game. How do you buy a ticket for the Albion bar?
You can't.
So
Is it sold out? I'm not sure. That's why I'm not giving his real name away.
Are you then going on to talk about the dogging? Or is that you just cutting that? You're not going to talk about the conversation about the dog.
That's not how you get a ticket though, is it? You just have to move in the right circles in the right.
He'd been given a ticket for the game, so I'm assuming that he was given an Albion ticket as well.
So it's the same guy that gave it. Yeah.
Fair dues. And what did you think of the game, John?
I thought there was some good bits. I thought there was some no good bits. But as I say, like overall, it was nice for the second time in 6 games to come away with 3 points. So that's the thing I'm focusing on. 3 points. 3 points is all that matters.
And what about you, Colin? Same question to you.
I was enjoying it actually. I was kind of looking forward to it before the game. I don't know why. I think I said that when we recorded on Friday night. I said I'm looking forward to it for some reason, but and then started off quite good. Like the first 20 minutes, I thought this is all right. I think we were playing some nice stuff and looking up for it. Got an early goal, all that, and then it just kind of drifted away. Pretty much like how the team did. My mood sort of went with the performance, I think, because they slowed down. The tempo wasn't there. They didn't really. So I guess it didn't look like scoring. We had good chances. We should have probably scored a few more. Mm-hmm. But Kilmarnock were doing their best to stop it, which is obviously what you would expect. You're doing 10 men, you've got to try and tie it up. But I started enjoying it, and by the end, good. We got the win. Thank fuck for that sort of thing.
I quite enjoyed the game. I think if I'm just like sort of on my own with this one, but we came out Easter Road, I thought it'd been quite an entertaining match, and I was quite happy. And then we did the Twitter space on Saturday evening, and the reaction was really different. It's like folk were kind of quite annoyed about how we'd played and that, and I was like, fuck. Then I sort of reflected on the game, and I can understand where it's coming from, but I think I still go back to my overriding feeling of kind of being quite happy coming out of the stadium. It was a nice day and everything, like I just enjoyed it. What about Derek McInnes, Colin? He said the better team lost. Would you agree with that?
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
He did not.
He didn't say that on the radio. He must have then changed his mind after when he went to the press, because that's not how when I heard him on the radio in the car, because we were actually on it reasonably early. This was about 5:10 we got on. He definitely never said that. He thought his performance was good, and he was happy with that performance and some of the wins they've had this week, the two of the wins they've had this week. But University's a better team lost. I'm surprised he come out with that, because that's just pish.
It must have been after I saw it on Twitter.
For all our different opinions on the game and our perspectives of it, at no point, I was saying that there was some good things and there was some bad things. I was referring directly to our finishing.
Yeah.
I've never come away. I've never thought since yesterday afternoon, oh fuck, like we were lucky in coming away with the 3 points there. Like we were definitely good value for the win.
Aye. Well, I kind of think of him having a shot on goal on target. They maybe had a shot on goal, but not on target. I don't think.
I think Marshall's only save was sort of tipping a cross out from under the crossbar, and it was going to drop in. But I think that was. Yeah. I can't remember having another save to make.
Nah, so I don't know. You can't say the better team when you've got, what did we have, 6 shots on target or more, against none. And
I think we had something like 25 shots in total. I kind of Kaiser Soze posted the stats during the Twitter thing. Let's see if I can quickly find them.
25 shots for Hibs, 8 shots on target compared to Killie 7 and 1 respectively.
So one on target. So the better team lost. It's strange. It's like, that would be like the Rangers manager yesterday saying we had more possession, with the better team. And they lost that game.
You've just reminded me of the boy McLaughlin's pass out for the back.
By the way, how good was that?
Stop them trying to play football. That's it. Goalies, just get rid of the fucking thing. Stop trying to be football players. I
saw it in what's on Sports. So we got caught in all the traffic. Obviously, the bypass was closed yesterday, so it took me 2 hours to get from Dunfermline to my mum and dad's up at the fort. And so we had planned to get there in time to watch the Glasgow derby, but missed the first half. Like we had to listen to it on the radio. So the time we got in, and when we had to leave to get down to Easter Road, we never saw any of the goals. There's 4 goals in the game. Missed them all, heard them on the radio, and you didn't quite get the full impact of what had gone wrong for Rangers for that 4th goal until you actually saw it on the TV. Fucking, we talk about goalkeepers' distribution, and thank fuck Mason never done anything like that, because imagine doing that in a derby. Like that
was my whole argument last year.
Derby levels, isn't it?
We're focusing on a goalie that sometimes kicks the ball at the pitch. Like goalies throughout the world are causing goals by it. Ramsdale done it in the Arsenal Man United game today. He got away with it because he got up and made the save. But he gave it out to the Man United player, picked it up, came in with a shot, and he got down and made the save, fair enough. But he gave the ball away in the first place because he's trying to be a football player. He's a fucking goalie. So
anyway, enough of them. I can't remember
that Colin's soapbox moment.
We get hung up on it. That's why I went every game last year. I was going, their goalie's distribution shite, because we only ever see our in one.
That's true.
I did goal again last week. He passed one out to the St Johnstone boy, and it's regular occurrence. Like Macy never cost us a goal by doing that last year. He kicked out of the pitch a few times.
Never cost us a goal. No, you're right, but again, we're going to. That's why Marshall's better, really, because his distribution has been good so far. We got kind of a break, but Porteous sort of about 10 minutes in, puts the ball over the top, cracking pass through for Boyle, who gets in front of the defender, who takes him out.
The boy for Aberdeen, yeah.
Aye. I forgot his name. I was on the tip of my tongue there.
I honestly read it like 2-3 minutes ago and I can't remember
it. Colin is right down where you sit where that happened. Free kick the right decision, or did you think it was a penalty?
We thought it was a penalty, but I've seen it on the TV since, so I'm willing to say I was wrong. The linesman, they got a spot on, because he was outside the box when he got fouled, but we were shouting for penalty. Then we got the red card, and we thought, is he just not getting the penalty because he's not sure, but he's getting the red, like try to balance it out. But I think it got it right.
John, what was your view on it?
I was up the opposite end, so I think any sort of foul where you can see that wee sliver of a white line looks like it's a penalty, but like Colin, having seen it back, it was definitely outside the box.
We were in line with it, John, and it looked like a penalty because he's moving that fast.
Yeah.
How quick he's going, that was directly where I sit, like in line with it. And we thought it was a penalty, but I'm wrong. So record that, snap that, get that.
I'm wrong. I said that would definitely be
Can't wait for that to
become.
Can't wait for that to become a meme. 1 second, Colin, I'm wrong.
I mean, how long we are into the episode? Yeah, right, ideal.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the 4 signs of the apocalypse, eh? Like you were late 2 weeks ago, now you're wrong.
And the red card probably changed the game, didn't it, John? Like that, then Hibs were quite well on top, and probably for about 10 minutes after the red card, we looked really in the mood, and then Kilmarnock settled into what they were going to do and just sort of sat in through to half time. Do you think Hibs struggled to cope with it after that?
Struggled to cope with Kilmarnock or 10 men?
Bit of both. The 10 men of Kilmarnock.
Do you know how many times is that this season? Is that like in half the games that we've played, there's been at least one sending off?
Johnston, Rangers
and
Kilmarnock
yesterday. So well, half the league games at least.
Yeah.
And I think Ash Taylor.
Well done, Colin.
It's tricky. So I think Joe Newell was saying, I was reading his wee article in the Hibs website. He was saying that he was quite happy to have got the goal because I think he had his like niece and nephew up or something. And he talked about Kilmarnock going to do the 10 men. And I think we've acknowledged, although with the caveat at the start of the show, that we are by no means experts. It becomes tricky to play against 10 men. But the game's not completely over. I mean, you saw in the Rangers game when they went down to 9 men, it became just almost impossible to break them down because they were just camped. And we've seen Derek McInnes' sides at Easter Road for long enough that it's hard enough to break them down when they've got 11 men on the pitch, never mind when they've got a numerical disadvantage and they're having to defend a bit more. I would have...
relevant though, eh? Do you not think?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a game like an Aberdeen team style performance until they got the man sent off, and then he just reverted to type.
I thought at 11 we looked like we were able to get in behind them loads. We were sort of exploiting that a lot. Boyle and Yuan were, I thought they were looking really dangerous, sort of trying to find those gaps in behind the defence. Obviously that's where we got the penalty, but there was a few other moments where they were sort of bursting forward. I think that's probably how Hibs will ideally want to play. That was the sort of sense I got from it, with that forward line.
Yeah.
Aye.
I was just trying to remember who it was that was up front. Was it just Boyle and Yuan? I know Henderson thought it started up there as well, but he wasn't really playing as a striker. I was just thinking about some of the balls that Poch has played. So obviously there was the ball over the top that Poch has played for Boyle that resulted in the red card and arguably the goal. But there was a few others that he'd attempted. So I remember, I want to say it was maybe Paul Hanlon in previous seasons would go looking for Boyle with that sort of long diagonal. And it was quite a dangerous ball. And Poch just seems to have taken up the reins a wee bit. I don't remember him being quite as successful with the balls after the long ball that resulted in the red card. But I quite like his range of passing and trying to find Boyle. It was like because he wasn't too far away, just didn't quite come off.
Poch just sort of assumed the role of playmaker, Colin, didn't he? Like that sort of the almost quarterback type role, where he was picking out the passes. What did you think of his game in general? Poch is one that we talk about quite a lot in the podcast. So how do you think he did yesterday?
There's a few talking points about it as well. Well, they didn't have much to do defensively. He was coming and taking a lot of the ball. I don't know if that's because you would expect, would you not expect, the midfielder to do that? But I don't know if, we know that the manager doesn't think he's got enough football in him yet. So maybe he was stepping in to take that over from him for that reason. And we've got an extra man, so he's more free to... Because at one point he picked the ball up, drove forward with it, give it to Boyle, and he was in the box at the end of the header, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just passing. There was a couple of passes he gave away, but I suppose the more you try, the more you're going to give away. Because there was a couple of he sort of had, it was like he was sliced, not a bad slice, but deliberately sort of cutting across it, and it was taken out to the wing like he was disguising it or something. I thought he was all right. Like he got a bit of criticism on the Spaces thing last night, but I've been quite critical of him over the last year or since I've been doing this, really, year and a half. But I thought he was all right. Like, didn't he? I wasn't too. I thought he had when he's better. I thought he was better yesterday than I've seen him. When in the past he's had criticism for being worse than that. Sorry, he's had praise for being when he's been worse than that. I thought.
What were you, John?
I thought he had a reasonably good game. There was a couple of wee frustrating moments. So Colin mentioned some of those sort of slice passes, if you like. And there was definitely one second half where I think he's basically made an arse of something that's put Hibs under pressure. And I think they're the moments that can be really key in a game against any team that's got 10 men. Because they still think, especially because the game was balanced, 1-0. It's easy enough for them to get a goal to get back into it. They just need that opportunity. They need that mistake to capitalise on. So I'd like him to be more... just more aware and just a bit better. Just think about what he's doing a bit more in that situation. Just find the pass, because I don't think at that stage it didn't require. I'm going to say Hollywood ball. I can't remember the incident exactly, so I'm not going to say that he was looking to do something spectacular. But if all it needed was a 5-yard pass and Hibs keep the ball, play the 5-yard pass and keep the ball. Don't unnecessarily put yourself under pressure. Because I think, if I remember rightly, that was something that I'd pointed out during the St Johnstone game. It was a wee clipped pass out to, I want to say, Chibraya. And then I think he maybe played into Kenna. And it was actually almost similar to the Chibraya-Kenna goal that we conceded against Livingston. Just be better. Just don't take chances like that.
I have no problem with players taking chances. I always think if they didn't take the chances, the good stuff never happens. Like you end up just playing.
It's that cliche of
safe, but
not doing it on the edge of your box.
Aye, and I suppose it's if you're taking the chance, if you like to say, be better. But it's probably a good way of putting it, John. To be fair, because there were a few occasions where he sort of played us into trouble, and it gets the crowd's back up as well, doesn't it? It's like I thought Easter Road was quite on edge. Was that?
I never used to get away with it. I used to just say unlucky Ryan. That was the whereas now it's like O'Kearney is willing to forgive.
Aye,
I don't know what's changed. I don't know if it's because he's in the last year of his contract and folk are a bit like not wanting to back him all the time. But he used to get away with murder with these passes. Folk used to just forgive it, but now he's getting a bit criticism on it.
I think it's because we've been shite for a while. Generally, folk are they're less forgiving at everything on the pitch, not just with Ryan, but I think anybody gets
started off with right, and they've now worked their way down.
Aye, it's like that. And Saturday had the feeling. I mean, we came up to the group chat conversation where you were going, "Fuck, they're going to get a goal." It's like we're going to get sucker punched. Like a cross will come over and it'll bounce off somebody, and they'll get an equaliser late on, and everybody will be going, right, I feel terrible about the game. It just had that feel, and you could sense loads of folk were feeling that in the crowd. So when you had the passes that went astray and put us under a bit of pressure, it definitely had an impact on the crowd.
It's funny say that because that's at least 2 games that we've had this year where we've had the players that have been the focus of the Boo Boys' attention. And people have said, X, Y, or Z is going to come back and haunt us. It'll be Dre Wright, it'll be Jamie Murphy, it'll be Ollie Shaw, it'll be Fraser Murray. And it hasn't happened. So actually, there's an argument there to say, let's fucking chill out a bit.
Definitely. I forgot Ollie Shaw was playing on Saturday. He got subbed off. I was like, was he on the pitch? Which probably is testament to how much control Hibs had of the game. Right, Colin, do you want to go into the voice of the people? We'll go through the talking points because I suspect we'll cover more of the game doing that than we will try to do a timeline on it.
There's really two. There's the usual miscellaneous, right? But there's team selection and performance, and I've split team selection down into actual segments because there's comments on each of the defence, midfield, and attack. So we'll go with What do you want to go with? Team selection or
Aye,
performance?
start with that. All right with that, John?
Yeah.
Team
Imagine if you
selection, excellent.
disagreed there.
I
And
know.
went, no,
I would,
and then
I would
it
have to pick.
would be fucking awkward, eh? And then,
Yeah.
aye.
Imagine a
Glad it
wee
never happened.
Longbangers argument like if we
Aye.
fell out.
I
Just logged off.
thought I'm glad it never happened. I've not had to kick anybody off the podcast yet.
Right. I'm not going to read them out because I've just split up. I'll give you a flavour of it. So, Jeff Ashton, William, 21, 5, 16, aka Rab, Mike, Jamie Lynch, Dave Graham, Liam Baldry, Joanne, all said stuff in this section. So, the defence, we'll start with defence.
Let's start there.
Right, time for Miller to get a run at right back. Looks to have a few more tricks than Cadden going forward. We can use his height in the box too. I am a fan of Cadden, but it's the same old, same old. Someone else thinks that Cadden's body shape's wrong when receiving the ball. And I'll let you guess who said that it was a Paul Hanlon masterclass.
Was it Greg for down the slope?
I spoke to Greg at half time yesterday, actually. He never said that.
I'll go for Dave then. If it's...
It's just, as I say, it's a repeat tweet he's got scheduled.
Aye, just retweets every now and again.
So what do you think of the defence then, right? I mean, like the main comment there is, do we give Miller a game ahead of Cadden? And other than that, I'm not really sure what else we could change in that defence. Stevenson possibly, I suppose, came on as well, didn't he?
Aye, so I thought the defence did well on Saturday. I didn't think, even with Lafferty coming on, Lafferty came on with the sole fucking intention of trying to get one of our players sent off. I mean, that was his remit was to try and level up the numbers.
That comes in performance.
Aye, so we'll come on that. But I thought Hanlon and Porteous dealt with pretty much everything that they needed to deal with defensively. Chabraya, I really like the look of. I think he's like a pretty steady player who will get better as the season goes. I think he went off with a knock when Stevenson came on, but Stevenson came in and was terrific. I thought. I'm sure there was a shot in sports scene of Chabraya sitting with ice on his ankle or something.
That makes more sense because I did wonder that last night. Remember when we were talking on the Spaces thing?
Aye, interestingly,
why we just didn't have like for like.
Sports scene showed that clip of Chabraya on the bench at a moment in the game in the highlights when he was still playing.
Did they?
Which is quite a skill, isn't it? So I think left side sorted. Right side, Cadden and Miller. It's a tough one. I think if we've seen enough from Miller to say you take Cadden out of the team, but I didn't think Cadden did that much wrong on Saturday to warrant it. What were you, John?
I respectfully disagree about Lewis Miller. I have said before that I think that he's incredibly athletic and I think he is a really good asset to have, but there's been, in most of the performances that I think that I've seen from this season, there's been times where he's miscontrolled the ball when it was really, really simple. And I'd like to think that should be just like quite a basic thing. But the flip side of that is that I think I maybe understand why we're having this conversation, because I wasn't sure when people talked about Chris Cadden being wasted at right back. But it does feel like he's not as prominent at right back as he was last season. Like, I don't think that his performances are standing out quite as much. So I really don't know what to do there. I don't think I would have Miller starting yet, but I would like to see more opportunities for Miller. So say, for example, we took Chabraya off yesterday, albeit Colin saying it was because of a knock. Maybe there was an argument to have Miller come on and get a bit of game time, because it's that conundrum of, well, you want him to improve, but he's not going to improve if he's not going to get games.
Mm-hmm. What were you
As for the rest, sorry, I was just going to say about the rest of the defence. Like, I know that Hanlon's came in for some stick in recent weeks. Like, we gave him a hard time because of the lack of a tackle against Livingston when the boy Nubly just kind of, I'm going to say steamroller past him, but I mean at the pace of a steamroller rather than by running through him.
Rather than the power.
But there was one moment yesterday where I thought there was something that Hanlon did that I thought was just so simple but excellent at the same time. I think there'd been a mistake down the left-hand side and Hanlon had just read it and drifted over and mopped it up and cleared it. I was like, that's exactly why you've got him in the squad, like that experience. And I think that maybe suggested that his fitness levels are starting to get a wee bit better, because I thought he was moving a lot more like the Hanlon that you'd expect rather than kind of like clumsy and awkward. But I want to give a wee special mention to Stevenson as well, because he's been out for a few weeks now with a hamstring knock, but when he came on and replaced Jabriah, I thought he was phenomenal. The guy just never seems to age. The performance levels never seem to diminish. He was bombing forward, supporting an attack, like properly going like beyond ready to receive the ball. And I think there was a couple of challenges that he stuck in just beyond the halfway line, just absolutely melted the Kilmarnock player. And you think, fuck, like, how much longer can he actually play? Because I still think that he's a fantastic asset to have, like, albeit for all the critics that he's had, and I do think that perhaps the one weak part in his game is his crossing. I'd rather have a Lewis Stevenson that can cross than a Lewis Stevenson that can cross and all his other attributes missing.
Is that the deal like? Is that the deal like?
Aye, that's the deal. Aye.
Take everything else off him and give him crossing. Is that the... No. Wouldn't take that deal either.
Basically, David Beckham, isn't it? So you can have David Beckham or Lewis Stevenson. What you're saying there.
Stevenson every day, obviously.
Every day. What I liked about Stevenson when he came on is, we sort of referred to it, Kilmarnock tried to get the game into a battle when they brought Lafferty on, and they went really physical, and there was a few meaty challenges. And what you need at times like that is somebody like Stevenson who just goes, fuck you, I can do this as well. But he doesn't get away the foul with it either. It's not like he does it and puts himself at risk of a yellow or a red. He just smashes.
He's not that type of player, right? He gets the benefit of the doubt in the ref's eyes because it's not that type of player.
And then he just gets up and gets on with it. And when folk hit him, he doesn't blink. He doesn't roll about the ground or fuck all. He just is like, hit, gets up, and then just goes, I'll fucking have you next time. And then he does. He just nails them again. He's fucking brilliant for that. And you need that in a team. I just think in a game when it's starting to go scrappy, where you've got, and Porteous, to his credit, didn't really rise to it too much, as much as he could have done. But where you've got somebody like Porteous who has the potential to kind of get involved with that kind of thing and do something petulant, when you've got somebody leading by example and saying, this is how you do it, mix it up without getting yourself into bother, it's fucking brilliant. Colin, where do you stand on the Cad and Miller thing?
Cadden seems to be getting a bit of, I mean, the same old comment. It's like, well, the same old got on Player of the Year last year, in a weak team, admittedly. It looked like when McCurdy came on, somebody might try and get on the Endies crosses in as well, which is a start, because I think sometimes he overhits a cross. Other times he puts good crosses. There's a real mix, I mean, there's a whole debate, we've had it over and over, but is it good crosses or is it shite striker play? And I think there's a bit of both at times. But now if we get a striker actually making moves and runs, strikers, then his crosses will look a lot better, because I think some of them have been good balls into the box. Not the ones that overhits and goes to the back post, and that obviously, or goes past the back post. And Miller, I've not seen enough of him. I've not seen anything in Miller yet to say he's better than Cadden, but I admit I've not seen much of him either. So I don't see how you would replace your Player of the Year with a guy you've just got in that's played a few minutes, but not been outstanding in the few minutes either.
Yeah. I quite like the look of Miller. I think he's raw. I think that's the thing with him. He looks like he's got a bit of developing to do technically, but I like these attributes physically. He's like a big lad. He gets up and down the line quickly. I don't know if he's a bit faster than Cadden. But I didn't really have much of a problem with how Cadden played yesterday. Either that I would have been shouting to get him replaced.
Yeah. Moving to midfield.
Go for the midfield, yeah.
Henderson is a wee feardy, trying to be polite, they've put in brackets. Did not commit to his chance, it's not the first time. Midfield looked a lot more balanced. Kenna needs more game time. He's playing like he has no confidence. When will we change the midfield? Far too predictable, although Joe Newell was good. So do we have an attacking midfielder in the development team? Newell's better with Kenna in behind. When Kenna plays, everyone knows who the defensive midfielder is, and you don't get Doyle Hayes and Newell both dropping back.
John?
Where will we start on that?
So when will we change the midfield? It's probably the obvious one that jumps out there, because it was a different midfield for last week. So
they changed now.
They have changed it. I'm not really sure what else you can say with that one.
Yeah.
You want to change everybody in the midfield?
So they're actually saying, when will we change it? So they have changed it. They've changed one of them, and then admits Joe Newell was good. So I assume it must be Campbell who wants out. That's all I'm deducting for that. And I actually thought Campbell was decent yesterday.
Aye.
Till he went off.
I thought the balance in the midfield looked better yesterday with Kenna in there. I'm not sure about him not playing with confidence. I thought Kenna had quite a good game for what he needed to do, and I suppose you could ask his role, did it become less effective when Kilmarnock went down to 10 men because they didn't really sort of attack through the midfield after that point? So your defensive midfielder is a little bit not quite redundant, but that aspect of his game becomes a bit more redundant. I thought Kenny was unlucky not to score. He shot that kind of clipped towards the top left corner, and it just bent away at the last minute. But from where we were sitting, it looked like it was in all the way, just up until that last second. Oh, I think if you were at that end with it went in, Colin, but we were looking straight down it. Very much.
Oh no, you'd have a better view because I'm behind it. Like I'm at the near post, and that's one at the back post, wasn't it? So we just heard the noise go. Oh, it must have been closer than it.
It looked like because the height was good, and it looked all the way like it was just going to just settle in that top corner, and it just drifted just at the last second. I thought Kenna was good, and I think I agree with the point about having Kenna letting Newell play a bit further forward. John, what did you think of Newell's performance?
I thought he had a good game, and I to be honest, I agree with the point that with Kenna being on the pitch, everyone knows who the defensive midfielder is, and it does. And I think I'd like to think that will mean that we have that balance that you're talking about in the midfield going forward. But I'm thinking back to the Livingston game. Who was playing in midfield then? Was that
Kenna,
Campbell?
Campbell and Henderson, I think, played. Is that might be the same midfield then?
I'll need to go back and have a look. But certainly the pairing of Newell and Kenna yesterday looked better than a pairing of Newell and Doyle Hayes. And I think that's been something that it's definitely something that we've struggled with in recent weeks.
Yeah. I thought Doyle Hayes was alright when he came on as well. And I think at that point, Newell and Doyle Hayes were on the pitch. But this both had Kenna behind them. So I think maybe they can play together if they've got that extra dimension in the midfield, or the different type. Because they both played well in the same midfield when McGuinness was in it. They both played well yesterday in the same midfield when Kenna was in it. So maybe they can play together. Maybe it's someone body that needs to be different.
Aye, is it someone in front of them or someone behind them then, or do you think it doesn't really matter?
It's worked either way. In my eyes, I know it was only 20 minutes, but yesterday, but it seems to work when they know they're not getting each other's way. Then it's like they're both thinking, I better go and mop up behind here, and then they both get there, and then they both end up fucking square bonnet to each other in their own half. Whereas when they've got Kenna there, they don't have to.
Campbell never played against Livingston. He was injured.
No.
Aye. Henderson was the other one that came up there, Colin. It had been a fair day, right? So. Right. First of all, do you agree or disagree with that statement?
I disagree. He's a wee fair day. I don't disagree. He didn't take his chances very well, and he looks lightweight. I wouldn't say scared.
What were you, John?
About the same. I think someone had said that Kenna looked like he was maybe lacking a bit of confidence, and I wonder if that's maybe more accurate to say of Henderson, because I think the chance he was played through on goal. I remember his goal against St Mirren last season, and I'm pretty sure that he was played in and hit it first time. Whereas he seemed to want to take a touch yesterday, and I think the player that wants to take the extra touch is usually the player that's maybe wanting to get it. It's kind of like the player or the team that wants to pass it at the back of the net rather than just having a fucking crack at goal. So
funny one, John, that one, his chance yesterday, because he had the chance that they showed on the TV, and he just needed to let it hit off him, but he scooped it over the bar. But then there was the other one, and he came running through. And from where I was sitting, it was at my end of the ground again. He was running in, and he looked over his shoulder for ages to see where the defender was, and then he almost slowed down before he got. It felt like that. Then he got the shot away, and by that time the defender done well to track it and get a block away. But you think, why are you slowing down your lamb? Why are you looking that much? Like, why? You're through and go. Just fucking keep running.
Tell you what about him.
All you need to know is there for maybe to run across the front of him so that he has to foul you or leave you alone and you're closer to goal. But it was like he looked round to say, I better slow down and let him catch up. It was really fucking weird that for where I was sitting at the time.
It feels like a bit of a weak link at the moment in the midfield. Henderson. I'm not quite sure what he's good at that he's bringing to the table just now.
My tip for Young Player of the Year, obviously. On the preview show.
There's still time. There's still time for it to become good.
I've got Nisbet top scorer as well, so that's still time for that as well.
I think it's maybe difficult for Henderson as well, and I wonder if he's kind of sticking out a little bit because you've got players there like Newell, Doyle Hayes, Campbell, who are sort of, as much as people have been critical of it, they've almost become like a little bit of an established midfield. But I think Hibs midfield is, so we just talked about it there, how it changed from last week to this week. And it must be quite difficult. So I even said it about like Hibs defence last year. Like it was quite difficult to get any sort of rhythm and develop any sort of partnership between the players because it changed from week to week. And especially with the new manager coming in, still trying to find out, like things like strongest starting 11, that sort of stuff. Like it'll be easy for a player to get lost in that, if you like. Because like we're sitting here, we couldn't identify what Henderson's position is, and it could be that it's just changing from week to week. So he's almost trying to be an expert in a number of different positions, but never getting the time to do it.
I think that's probably quite fair, John, to be honest with you, because he's been played wide. He's been played like it was more of a. I think it felt like he was a bit more in the sort of 10 position on. Sorry, I could be wrong there, but I thought he looked a bit more central than on the left-hand side, but maybe he was playing on the left and drifting in. But it just didn't ever feel sort of comfortable with what he was doing, or that he knew where he fitted into that system. I see he's the one out of the midfield that played on Saturday. He's the one that I would think his place is most at risk. If you were looking to drop somebody, it would be Henderson. Would be the first one to go at the moment.
I would expect that. Yeah, the lot of folk at half time around me were suggesting, get him off and put McCurdy on, obviously, because he's a great white hope, and put Yuan out to the left and get the laddie up front. But that's not what happened, but like it nearly happened. It was the same subs, different formation of positional stuff. But yeah, we'll go on to up front actually.
Yeah, go up front.
Quite similar. Bojan and Yuan look like they need a shitey Deutsch type scruffy goal. Too early to write them off yet, especially Bojan after about 3 minutes at the end of each game. Yuan, Bojan and Tavares are not good enough. I think Yuan looks more like an attacking midfielder than a striker. I hope he gets a goal soon, and then it'll open the floodgates. McCurdy looks a good addition, especially when he's up to speed and doesn't spew after 20 minutes. We don't have a striker that wants to stay between the posts, and Bojan is useless. Or should we be getting him on earlier? Question.
Right.
So a lot about the strikers there, so
where do you want to start with that?
A lot of people comment. It was the same on the Spaces thing, that once Yuan gets one, my wife said it as well when she came and watched the highlights last night. Once Yuan gets one, he'll get a barrel load. I'm not really sure where the confidence in that's coming from. I think it's hope rather than anything else. But that's the accepted wisdom.
I think he knows he's been playing quite well. But see, he had the chance in the second half to make it 2-0. I can't remember who was it squared it to him. Maybe McCurdy.
It was all over the shop, playing on it, coming to him.
Aye, and then he sort of skied it, and that looked like a striker.
His body shape was all fuck.
But he looked like a player who's desperate to get a goal. It's really kind of thinking about it, and rather than hitting it just instinctively, just kind of letting it come, and body shape being right and everything, just knocking it into the net. He just totally rushed at it, didn't he?
Kind of similar to Henderson, like just thinking about it too much. Looking for things that aren't happening rather than just getting the laces through it.
Aye. And that's what I thought. He looked like he took that chance as a striker who's got, I need to get a goal on his mind, rather than just, I came up dim. So I think probably your wife's right there, Colin.
Aye. First time you've ever said that.
Aye.
What about the more attacking, he looks up like a more attacking midfielder than a striker? Like, what do you think on... I assume they're thinking like in the 10 role, but I mean, or does it mean the wide left position? I don't really know anymore, the position stuff.
So what do you think, John? Midfielder better suited for Yuan than
possibly
forward?
So I actually think that Yuan and Boyle are kind of similar in terms of their stature and attributes, and I'd quite like to see Yuan playing the opposite side of the pitch. I know that Boyle gets forward and quite often plays up front, but I think that Martin Boyle's best when he's playing wide and coming into the box, and Yuan through the middle at the moment, it's not quite working out. Like, he's not getting goals. And I think there's almost like a sort of fantasy football element for it, to it for me, where I think about Yuan on the left, Boyle on the right, like two fast players that are going to get balls into the box. Like we saw that with Yuan when he scored for Boyle in the Rangers game. I'm looking like McCurdy through the middle, or Melkerson through the middle, or Nisbet through the middle. Like, I feel like those two players left and right would be phenomenal for any.
The big Ukrainian gadget.
Or the big Ukrainian gadget, aye. So, like, it feels like there's a number of different attacking options there that Boyle and Yuan could be contributing to. But as the striker up front that we're expecting to score a lot of goals, I'm not convinced. I think because, and I think the reason for that is that on a couple of occasions that I've seen him, like, he has managed to get a shot away, he's beat a player or whatever, but there's been at least a couple of occasions now. So I think there was one against Livingston, and definitely yesterday where it was first half, he was over towards the east stand and he had the ball for what seemed like ages, and there was a couple of tricks and whatever, and I'm like, just fucking pass the ball, because you're not doing anything effective from there.
Aye.
You need to do something different. You need to, whether you call whatever you want to call it, whether it's recycling the player, moving the player, whatever, just find the pass.
Because you're on, so, by the way, yeah.
And then I think he gave the ball away, and that puts us on the back foot rather than keeping the ball.
Aye, trying too hard maybe. What about McCurdy then? Looks a good addition. And if he's not spewing after 20 minutes, what's your thoughts?
He did throw up a bit.
I didn't see it.
So I never quite noticed it. Jeff Ashton was sitting in front of me, sort of turned and said, "You see him spewing there?" I was like, I wasn't really paying attention, but I think McCurdy could be the one to play through the middle. I agree with you, John. I like the idea of Boyle and Yuan on either side, a central striker. I just think there's tons of goals. It's ironic because that's probably the area that we're struggling the most in. It was actually the act of putting the ball in the net, because for all the chances we created on Saturday, we only come away with one goal, and that was for a midfielder. But
so would he be the guy that would stay between the goalposts and like one of the other tweets?
I think they'll interchange. I think that's the benefit of having those three, is that you could put McCurdy looked dead comfortable on the left. You could see him getting in some really good positions, finding space at the back post. Didn't maybe get the service that he might have done. And I think, again, he's probably another one that's sort of like desperate to kind of get a goal on his debut, kind of make that instant impact. But I think if you could go through a game, and it'd be really difficult for a defence to stay on top of it if you've got you're marking Boyle 1 minute and teams double up on Boyle.
Yeah.
So they're doubling up on him, but you can't leave Yuan or McCurdy alone because they're both quick. I mean, Yuan's rapid as well, and he's got a bit of trickery about him. So you'd want to have him in those dangerous areas, because then do they double up on him as well? And if they're doubling up on two players, you can't double up on McCurdy in the middle as well. Otherwise, you're just fucking, that's 6 men that you're taking up. And if they're interchanging, so if you've got two doubling up on the right hand side on Boyle, and then the next minute Boyle's over on the left and Ewan's on there, the kind of, how do you defend against that? It just gives us loads of options, and I think they all have that the benefit of pace about them. And if we can sort out the finishing, we know Boyle can finish. So if we get Ewan and McCurdy in amongst the goals, what I liked about McCurdy on Saturday, and we go back to Cadden's crosses, he got on the end of one of them where he had to almost outmuscle the defender getting in front of him, and it was one of these ones where you're sort of almost jumping backwards to get onto the ball, and it obviously went over, which isn't ideal, but to get on the end of that cross we've not had a player doing that all season. In fact, probably since Deutsch was in form, whenever that was.
A striker attacking the ball, you mean?
But it was so refreshing. We've not had anybody like that for donkeys. I was like,
it's so simple as well, isn't it?
Aye.
It was a bit of movement, and then
yes.
You're right, because I thought that at the time you see a bit of movement there, and it's like we've not seen that. But how many times have we seen goals go a begging because they can't moved?
Aye, and he was physical with the defender as well, because the defenders tried to challenge him, but he made sure he won the ball. just got in front of him. It was really good forward play. Just didn't have the finish to go with it. The attack's probably the bit of the team that I'm most relaxed about, or excited about. Never mind relaxed. I think we're going to be really good going forward this season. It just hasn't clicked yet. Aye. Yeah. Like you said, you've got the Ukrainian guy whose name I've forgotten again. After having
Mikhail Kukarevich. I want to say
that's it. Yeah, well done. Did you look it up, John, or just remember?
I did see it earlier. The only reason I can remember his surname is because of the song La Cucaracha. It's broadly similar.
Decent. So you have him. Bojang is the other one we want to talk about. Bojang, because obviously he missed that chance. I mean, it's not even a fucking chance. He got to score that.
He's been absolutely written off in many quarters, like when you see it. So, although I guess that the argument I made back on Spaces, and I think some people here are saying he's playing injury time every week. Like, he comes on the 89th minute. Was it you, John, that says Ron Burgundy? Oh no, he said he said last night on Spaces, didn't he? That he said at 89 minutes he'll come on in 89, and he came on bang on 89
Literally,
minutes.
we were sat watching at the clock. I can't remember when it was that Andy had said it, but he goes, "Oh, Bojang will be on the 89th minute," and you saw the board come up, and I'm looking at the clock, and we counted down to the second. It was 89 minutes exactly.
It's a strange thing to be bringing him on then, but he is missing sort of golden opportunities, which isn't going to help him.
No.
But he's certainly not getting as much leeway as Yuan is when he's missing opportunities. And he's not going to get as McCurdy's going to get, because he's just going to be. He's just like he's taking over Porteous's
the poster child,
golden boy.
Can't do wrong. Aye, because he's got the bleached hair and that, and all that. So,
Colin's going to be slaughtering him all season, John. We'll just
I'm
we'll
hoping
call it here.
I'm hoping he's going to be second top scorer behind this bit. Like, but you can just tell he's going to get away with fucking murder. Everybody's pinning it. He played 20 minutes. He spewed up, right? Half an hour he played, and he spewed. I don't know what was wrong. Maybe nerves. Don't know. Normally you spew before with nerves, so if he's just unfit or what, I don't know. But he'd done a couple of things. Like, he got an end across, right? Well, that's the one thing I can remember. The other things, that was it. But we're talking like he's the answer. That's all. And I'm thinking, why are we giving him like this, but we're not giving the others the leeway that he gets? That's all.
Aye. And that's
a really, really, really good question. I've been trying to work out exactly why it is that we're writing off folk like Bojang, and we're not. So, like, when you look at him and Yuan and compare them, the only thing that matters for a striker is the number of goals. And I feel confident in saying that, with the exception of
scored the same amount.
Aye, with the exception of the pre-season games in Portugal, same amount. So why is one of them written off and the other one is like what?
Just needs a goal. The other thing, Bojang, in the very limited time that he's been on the pitch, has had better opportunities than Yuan's managed to find in the long times that he's had on the pitch. Do you know, like, he had the one against Livingston, which he should have done better with, but wasn't as easy a chance as was made out at the time. Bornadigi had one off the line. He had a fresh air swipe against Rangers, but we ended up scoring for that sort of second phase of play. And then the one yesterday, I mean, he's got to bury it. I mean, I think even if his finish had been a bit better, if he hadn't scored, but it maybe kind of rattled the post, or he'd smashed it over the bar or something like that. But
it's funny.
He rolled it back to the keeper in the most pathetic way possible.
I was doing a bit of research on this earlier, just because I was like I was reading some of the stuff about Bojang, and folk are saying, "Oh, he's a clown. There's no danger. He's a professional footballer. He's won a competition." Chat like that. Again, caveat for the start of the show: you've got your opinion, we've got ours. We can agree to disagree. We can have a conversation about it, whatever. But there are better players in the world. There are players that have won Ballon d'Or who have had exactly the same, that have missed gilt-edged opportunities. Like, I've got videos, I can post them, I can tweet them out. Ronaldo, his header comes back off the bar, he's got the goal in front of him, and he manages to left foot it onto the post. Messi has missed goals like that. Another one that I was looking at was Kenny Miller back in 2005. Like, I'm a wee bit prejudice towards Kenny Miller because I have it in my head that he was incapable of scoring in one-on-one situations, running at the keeper. And it just so happens that this one sticks in my mind because I was at the game. 2005, Italy, Scotland, he's through one-on-one with Buffon and he claffs it into the ground straight at Buffon. It's not like Buffon's pulled off a world-class save.
Two in that game. I think, from memory, it was, I remember
and
that.
By that point in his career, Kenny Miller had something like 200 appearances under his belt and a number of goals. Bojang's had about 20 minutes.
There's a snobbery. See if we'd say, we've signed Bojang for Nantes in France. Or
I think there is that snobbery.
Kind of distant.
Chelsea's B team. If we go if we come up for Chelsea or Man City,
aye.
I think we need to apply the same sort of rationale to Bojang as we did to Deutsch when he started. Like it was, he can't score. He should have scored. He should have done this, and we were saying right, he was getting in the right positions, and right enough. Like afterwards, he was in the right positions, and he was like Hibs' leading scorer that year.
Aye.
Bojang was getting in the right positions. If he works on his finishing, all the better for everyone.
It's a very good comparison, John, because Deutsch missed. I mean, the sports scene presenters laughing at him. Aberdeen, kind of the genuinely sort of,
and that was totally overplayed as well. Like, I'm harking back 4 seasons or something, but I mean, they weren't all sitters. There was one was a sitter. The other ones were like good save and a hard opportunity. Like it wasn't like it was like he's missed a hat trick. His sitters and Hibs have went on and lost the game or drawn the game when they should have won by fucking 4-0 or something.
Aye.
And like you watch it back, but then folk buy into it and start believing it and repeating it. Even Hibs fans, and that's the danger here because we've signed them for a team that nobody had heard of. Whereas Juan's came for, I can't remember, it's a French team.
Belgium, didn't he? We playing in the Belgian league?
No, the French team, Swiss team, St. Gallen, we've got him on loan from, which I think was where we got, was that where we got Canberra?
Maybe. But that's it, so we've heard of that team, So, like, and I'm not...
You can Google them, they're on Wikipedia.
It's too hard to say, like, add it up, 6 games, like, a couple of minutes here and there. It's like 10, 15 minutes he's played in the league.
It's lucky if he's played a half of football cumulatively.
No, he's not good enough and all that stuff. I just think it's harsh and tight on him, like, and the chances aren't looking great, and they're starting to stack up now. Maybe he needs a goal and he'll go and score a barrel load.
Aye, it just adds pressure to the boys as well, doesn't it? Everybody, because you can see folk they want to validate their opinion, so they want to be right against. If they've already called them shite, the next time they miss a sitter, they'll go fucking rage at them because they're right and they called them shite 2 games ago. I just think it's harsh, and he was scouted as well. But this is the other thing with Bojang. I think we spoke about it before. Is there's a bit of a perception that he's just a punt, like he was a random player that we picked up just because he's cheap and we'll see if it works out or no. But it came recommended to us. It was somebody that was scouting Tavares that got in touch with Lee Johnson and recommended him.
I think I read earlier, it might be, hopefully I'm remembering this correctly, but he was, as much as he came from Rainbow FC in Gambia, and you kind of Googled him or whatever, I think he was playing in Portugal. He was on loan there, so...
We should have went with that team's name.
Right.
I'm just wary how long we've spent on it. We've got performance. Can I suggest for performance, I'll read 1 or 2, but we just tell everybody to come on, I'll read out to come on to Spaces on
good shout.
Tuesday.
Great shout.
Stuart, TG Willis, Mike, Mark Lacey, Tony Swanson, Pat Fry's Image, John Fife, Stuart 1875, William, and fucking loads of other ones that I didn't even write down. Dismal viewing. Marshall didn't have much saves to make. A win's a win. Thought McCurdy should have gone through the middle, like what I was saying about what the guys like me were talking about. Need to start taking our chances. 6 attacking players against 10 never looked like scoring. Explain and show you're working. Slow moving the ball. Few comments on that actually. Porteous needs to stop getting dragged into the shit with Lafferty. Lafferty was just on really to get a red card and even it up. So that's it summarised, but there's a lot more to it than that. But I just encourage anybody that's listening to maybe come on Tuesday. You can read your own one out. I do try and read as many as I can, but there's fucking loads, and a lot of them are around the same topic. So I've just kind of tried to do it that way there.
There's a good shout. Come on Tuesday. If you've not been on our Twitter Spaces yet, there's just a chance for everybody to kind of go and have a wee chat with us about Hibs and maybe 1 or 2 points in general. So we do one on Tuesdays to talk about this episode. So yeah, come on. If we've not covered your point specifically, come on and we'll talk to you directly about it. So John, performance in general then. So the stuff about it being slow, and there's nobody able to hit a barn door. What are your views?
Room for improvement, definitely. What I would say is that we are 6 games into a new season, new manager, etc. I would like to see the ball move forward quicker, but I'd probably counter that and say that our goal came from moving the ball forward quickly. Like, I know it was a bit route one over the top, Martin Boyle, but even the free kick and the finish, weirdly, I actually thought that Joe Newell probably should have passed in that situation because he was having a shot through a crowd of bodies, whereas later in the game, he probably should have had a dig, and he's tried to play the wonder ball that would have had to have been perfectly weighted.
Aye.
So it's funny, there's one in the miscellaneous on that, right? Mil Clements. Should Hibs start fining for chances not taken and shots that should be taken to encourage better finishing? Right, and it's similar because there was the one, you're right, there was one that Newell hit a shot when he probably should have passed it in the first half. And then in a minute, this is what I was talking to Greg at half time about, a couple of minutes later, he should have hit it, but it was on his right foot. But he tried to play Josh Campbell in.
Yeah.
But if that fucking was a tiny wee bit less overhit, or Campbell was a wee bit quicker off the mark or something, we would have been going, what a fucking bit of play, like goal of the season stuff. But he probably should have hit the shot. That was the most obvious option. But it's on his right foot, so instead he tried to play.
Well, I don't know what you guys think. Like, see if you can pass the ball with your right foot. Surely you can fucking shoot with your right foot.
You think so, eh?
I think he saw the run though, because funny you saying that, Colin, about goal of the season, 'cause that's exactly what Josh said at the time. He's like, "Fucking hell, that would have been goal of the season if that had come off." And it was one of those ones that, when you're talking about with Pochis, if you didn't try those passes, they're never going to come off, are they? And he maybe just thought that's a more likely goal than him having a dig. But I definitely, I don't know about finding players, but I definitely think they need to do. Maybe like a forfeit of some description, the press ups in the dressing room or something. I think Ken.
Sing a song over the piano at half time or something. Will we ever see a scorer in both halves of a game again? That was another for Scott Miller.
Yes,
I think we will.
I'll predict we will. It might not happen this season, but at some point we will. Low averages and all that.
But do you think we're slowly moving the ball though back to that? And we had 6 attacking players running against 10 that didn't look. We actually looked more dangerous when we were 11v11. I thought.
Right, so I agree we look more dangerous 11v11. As to moving the ball fast, I think when we were 11v11, we did move the ball quickly. Like John says about the goal coming from Pochis knocking the ball forward quickly. There were several instances I think where we did that and we looked to get in behind them. But early passes, we were very positive with our intent. You got the ball, wanted to attack. It was like forward pass was almost the first one that we played. When that changed, when Kilmarnock put everybody behind the ball, and we started taking an extra couple of touches and allowing them to get settled, and then you can't play the fast ball because it's no on. Players are marked up, the space isn't there. There was a few times where everybody was a bit too static. You know, you can look at it. Pochis had the ball at one point, and he's almost the deepest lying Hibs player on the ball. I think maybe Hanlon was deeper than him, and everybody else is standing static, looking for the ball. I mean, there was not one person going, running to break the line or take somebody out of position to create space. They were just static, and I think.
Interesting though, like it was a comment somebody made a while back, a few games ago, just the Rangers game, I think, because we never had a left-sided centre half, we couldn't get the ball to the left-hand side. McCurdy was in fucking acres for most of the time he was on the pitch, standing waving and that for the ball, and we couldn't get the ball over to him. But we had a left-sided centre half, so I don't know if it's just like we're focused on getting it to Boyle all the time, rather than surveying the options, because the excuse of the left-sided defenders away. Yeah,
because Hanlon could have played that pass over. I think we tried to do it, and I think had it stayed 11v11, we would have done a lot more. Again, I think we tried to get the ball forward quickly later in the second half when Killie were chucking everything at us. But Killie's whole game plan, second half, was stay in the game long enough that we're still only a goal behind in the last 10 minutes. and then we'll go
ken
for
what
it.
they're like. You ken what they're like. The
Aye.
fans will turn on them. That's what you can imagine me kind of saying at half time.
And then he
Get one
chucks
of them
on
sent off. Get them.
Aye.
The fans will turn. We'll get a corner. Aye.
spot on, and that's you could almost sort of have written what their game plan would be, and they didn't chuck Lafferty on. He was trying to kind of get folk wound up and all the rest of it, and I thought we coped with that quite well. And then kind of defended. Marshall didn't have much to do, so
yeah.
Aye, it was too slow at times. But I did kind of how you play fast through a team that's sitting with 9 men behind the ball.
I don't know. That's what we'll need to ask Rangers and Celtic because they do it every week. Yeah.
I the better players. It's all right if you can spend millions on your team. The better players can do it, but
we have got better players than the players we're playing against.
No, but we've not got players that are good enough to break down those defences regularly. The other thing that comes into play with that, right? And again, this is just my theory on it. We were talking about what it's like going to Livingston as a Hibs player and that. Teams expect to lose to Rangers and Celtic. They expect that their teams, they get up possession. They didn't attack the way that they would attack against other teams. They sit in and defend, but it's not their natural game. Is that for most of them to sit in? Like most teams didn't do that for every game. They'll do it against some teams. And you look at so Rangers and Celtic have to deal with that a lot, but they're used to doing it, so they do it week in, week out, so they're able to play through teams. But also, I think teams expect to get beat, so they think, well, we'll defend, and if we can keep it down. I think that it's not like we'll keep them out to 0, but
free hit and all that.
You might concede 1, you might concede 2, and folk, they're almost designed to, these are the games that matter anyway, so if we lose a couple of goals, and they'll switch off at some point in the game. That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah. All right, there's one more. Charlie, Stevenson was immense off the bench. Do you think what we've done with him over the last 2 seasons is the route we should be looking for all senior players in the future?
What have we done with him? What do you think it means, George?
I don't know. I mean, it's a wee bit swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Because I think for every plaudit that you maybe get for Stevenson at the moment, you've had critics of like David Gray still being at the club or Dan McGregor still being at the club in coaching roles and what have you. Like, what fucking use are they, behind the scenes if they're not playing, etc., etc. So,
absolutely, yeah. If it was handling, ask Charlie if it's handling. We'll do it with handling then. See what he thinks.
So maybe is he meaning like they're not first pick, but they're there for when you need somebody reliable to come in? So maybe for a run of games if somebody gets injured or to come off the bench, and then you know what you're getting with Stevenson. Because I think everybody would say, see, who have we got that fits that bracket? Stevenson and Hanlon are really the ones that stand out. So if you said Hanlon wasn't your first choice centre half, but he's there to play if we need him, and you kind of do a job for you, I think folk would be quite happy for Paul Hanlon to see his career at Hibs. And that it's when you're going, he's your number 1 centre half, that folk get a bit angsty about it.
Yeah, you can't do it for them all. Like, there's just not enough wages to pay it. So you need to pick the right character and the right. And Stevenson's the quiet leader. Isn't he?
He's a wee fucking legend, is what he is.
Yeah.
That's me. That you for the talking points, right? So almost out of time. So just before we go, have a wee look ahead to Dundee United on Saturday. John, how do you see that going?
I'm going to say 2-0 Hibs, goal in each half.
Who's scoring? Bojang will go for him.
Nah, I think McCurdy is going to be suspended, isn't he? After
he's
chucking his.
It's after the game after. Yeah, it's Ross County and Aberdeen he misses, I think.
It's going to be Boyle first half, McCurdy second half, just to see out the game.
Colin, same question to you.
5-0, because once Bojang and Yuan scored, they're not going to stop scoring. So
or due someone are doing.
Due somebody do it, all the cliches. But I don't know what Dundee United, they were 0-0, so they've closed. Although they missed, I think the European Player of the Year for last year missed a penalty. As well as another sitter. So I think maybe I don't know if their defence is tighter or not than it was in their 9-0 and 7-0 days of a few weeks ago. But 3-1 Hibs.
3-1 Hibs. I fancy. I fancy it's going to click soon. That's my underlying feeling with Hibs. So I'll go 2-0, like John. Right, that's us out of time. Couple of things before we go. If you're a subscriber, you'll get extra time next, which we're going to be talking about. I think the development team versus the senior team, where they put the money, and the benefits and the drawbacks of doing the approach that Hibs have taken. We also have our live show, 21st of October. Tickets are available for that. £7 if you're a subscriber, £10 for non-subscribers. It's going to be at Easter Road Stadium. Get along at that. It's going to be a great night. And join us on Tuesday for our Twitter Spaces. Again, we mentioned it earlier. If you had your point sent in, but we didn't quite get to it tonight because we're run out of time, come and talk to us directly. They're great fun. Folk have been loving them so far. So we'd love to see you and love to hear from you. As we said at the start, we didn't put ourselves forward as any kind of authority on this thing. We're just Hibs fans giving our opinion on it. So we'd love to hear yours, even if you disagree with us. It's good to talk about it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.